When I got engaged, I kept my $1.2 million estate completely under the radar, just in case things went sideways. 2 days after the wedding, my sister showed up at my door, beaming, with Dad trailing behind her. She said, "We put the house in my name. Mom said you'd be okay with it." I stared at them and said, "I never agreed to that." That night, I reached out to the bank to check the paperwork. By morning, they were outside my gate, carrying boxes and wiping tears. I didn't expect them to be so blatant, not this soon after the wedding. I had just returned from a quiet dinner with Emma, an evening where the adrenaline finally faded and I could relax. We were unpacking boxes, folding towels, debating where a mug belonged. Then came the knock. It was my sister, smiling like she already won. Dad stood silently beside her, always the silent instigator. "Hey," she said, a little too cheerfully, "we just wanted to drop by quickly." "Oh, and Mom said you'd agree, so we went ahead and signed the house over to me." She handed me some papers like they were a gift. I looked down. My name wasn't on a single document. The estate, the one I'd inherited and kept quiet about, was now officially hers. "Mom said you'd agree," she repeated, as if saying it enough times would make it true. I didn't yell or argue. I just blinked once, looked at them both, and said, "I never said yes." Then I shut the door. I didn't wait around for another knock. I didn't care anymore. I went to my room, grabbed my laptop, and sat down with a cold stillness inside that only comes when your thoughts freeze. First thing I did was log into the estate account, then the bank, then the title office portal. Step by step, I confirmed who had access, and who didn't, through official channels. The security company got an alert, so did my lawyer, whom I'd quietly retained. That night, a formal letter was sent to clarify the situation. By morning, I was getting notifications, motion sensors triggered at the gate. They were back, holding boxes, crying again. But I didn't open the door. Because in that moment, something inside me shifted. I wasn't shocked, not really. Disappointed, yes, but mostly, I was done. I had entered this marriage hoping they'd finally respect boundaries between love and leverage. Instead, they showed me the truth. To them, I was not a brother or a son, but a resource to be tapped. They made their move, I made mine. That night, I couldn't sleep, not out of anger, but because my mind replayed every moment at once. It began with those 4 words, "Mom said you'd agree." 4 words that detonated years of memories. When I was 12, I bought Dad a pizza with my allowance because he forgot his wallet. He never paid me back. At 16, I helped my sister fake a school project so she could graduate. She never said thank you. At 24, I worked a second job to help Mom pay medical bills, only to find out half went to a spa weekend. And every time, I stayed silent, swallowed the hurt, telling myself, it's family, they'll appreciate it someday. But they never did. They saw a pattern, a loophole to exploit. I remember when I was first truly used, as a tool, not a person. During Dad's business slump, I helped organize his files. Weeks later, my name showed up on a loan application I'd never authorized. When I confronted him, he laughed. "You've got good credit," he said, like that explained it all. That night, I checked my credit report, 5 unauthorized loans, all unpaid. My sister once asked for a temporary login to one of my business platforms, said it was for freelance work. I gave it to her. She sold access to a stranger for $600. I only found out when I was locked out. I confronted her. She shrugged. "It was just sitting there. You weren't using it. Just sitting there. Like me at holidays. Like my name on the deed. Like the $1.2 million estate I never flaunted." They never saw me as a person. They saw opportunity. An open door. Months before the wedding, Emma asked me if I really trusted them. I hesitated. She said, "You don't trust them, you just feel responsible for them." She was right. It all fell into place. The family jokes about me being the wallet. The quiet jabs, like Mom saying at brunch, "We're trying to be kind, including you, you don't really matter." Everyone laughed, like it was funny. The house was their final move. They thought I'd fold like always. But they didn't know that my silence wasn't weakness, it was awareness. I wasn't blind anymore. I wasn't soft. I was watching. Mom never asked permission, she just declared. Dad never stood up, he vanished. Sister never explained, she gained. And every time I gave, they took, because they thought they were owed. When I was 8, I heard Mom whisper to Dad, "He won't say no, he's easy." I wasn't even seen. Just a tool. A default yes. But now? Now they put my name on something I never touched. Called it family business. Signed it without a word to me. They forgot one thing. I'm no longer that 8-year-old. No longer the fixer. The helper. The backup. I'm a man with a deed. A man who built a firewall around his future. A man who watched quietly for decades, and finally saw the game clearly. They expected silence. They got clarity. And I was only just beginning to dismantle it all. They thought their signature meant victory. They thought I'd wake up and fold. I didn't. Before dawn, I sat on the bed, running the numbers through my head. $1, 2 million. 1 estate. 6 attempts to take what wasn't theirs. And one final shutdown. By 6 a.m., I was logged in. My screen looked like a war room: financial dashboards, ownership records, recorded calls, timestamped texts. First, I locked the deed, legally and digitally. Every change triggered alerts sent straight to my lawyer. Then I checked the trust account I'd set up before the engagement after noticing my sister snooping in a personal drawer. The trust split into 3. Estate upkeep. Emergency fund. Discretionary support. All invisible to them, all under my control. I revoked discretionary access. Lawyer confirmed it within 20 minutes. Next, the phone lines under the family plan, the ones I paid for. I didn't cut service, I transferred ownership. They have 72 hours to accept the change or lose it. Dad's car? Registered to me. It had been given as a gift, but with conditions. Hidden ones, ugly ones. That afternoon, I made the necessary calls. I contacted the DMV, filed the ownership correction with the registry, and scheduled the tow pickup, not out of revenge, out of accuracy. They had opened fire on my life. Now I was closing the gates. Emma walked in while I was on hold with the cloud service provider. She didn't speak right away, just set a coffee down beside me, glanced at my laptop, and asked quietly, "Do they have any idea what's coming?" "No," I said, "they have no clue." By noon, everything was set in motion. Bank access, revoked. Joint credit card, frozen. A final message to my CPA, from now on, no signatures but mine were valid, no exceptions. Then I added a final clause to the estate's operating agreement. Anyone who attempted to transfer ownership through fraud would be permanently disqualified from the trust. At 2:13 p.m., I sent my sister one message: "You forged a future that was never yours. It ends today." Then I logged off. That evening, they returned, boxes in hand, eyes red and tired. Her voice was softer this time. "We didn't mean it like that," she said. "Mom thought you'd be okay. I mean, you weren't really using the house." That line, "you weren't using the house anyway," told me everything I needed to know. I opened the door just wide enough for them to see me, not step inside. "It was never about the house," I said. "It was about how certain you were that I'd never say no." My dad moved forward. "Let's talk inside." "No," I said flatly, "we talk here." My sister gently placed a box down. "We packed up our stuff. We're sorry, okay? We didn't mean." I cut in. "It's already with the lawyers. If you want to talk, talk to them." Her face twisted. "This is family." "Exactly," I replied. "And family doesn't forge documents. Family doesn't take without asking. Family doesn't erase someone, then cry when they're locked out." Silence. Then Dad snapped, shifting into the role he always played when he lost control. "You're being dramatic. We didn't steal anything. The transfer didn't even go through." "You're right," I said, "because I stopped it." And I saw it hit, finally, the moment they realized they'd miscalculated. They had always mistaken my silence for weakness, but I wasn't the generous one, I was the careful one. And now, the free ride was over. The next morning, I logged into my archive and completed the last few steps. 3 letters, one to the estate attorney, one to the title office compliance division, and one to the local financial oversight board, all flagged the attempted transfer as potential fraud. Emma reviewed each one. "They won't come back from this," she said. "I'm not trying to save them," I replied. By Thursday, everything was sealed tight. The estate was triple locked. My accounts? Secured. Every asset they once had access to, gone. But I wasn't finished. I contacted the private foundation that had covered part of Mom's medical treatments. Thanks to my referral, I rescinded my support, professionally, respectfully. The message was civil, the consequences weren't. That afternoon, I drove out to the property. Walked through the hall where we once taped up childhood drawings. All of it, gone, replaced by silence. I opened the security app, revoked their access to the smart lock, and changed the code. I walked out the front door, turned around, watched it close. No screaming, no spectacle. Just the final click of a clean break. I expected them to unravel, but not this fast, not this loud. At first, there was quiet, a pause that almost made me think they'd accepted it. But by morning, my phone lit up, like a fire alarm stuck in a loop. 17 missed calls. 9 voicemails. All from home, a label I hadn't updated in years. I didn't listen. I forwarded the first message to my lawyer, turned on airplane mode, and returned to my breakfast. Emma watched me carefully. Do you think they'll come back? I nodded. It's the only move they know. Sure enough, at 3:04 p.m., they returned. Same car, same gate, same forced humility. Dad crossed his arms like a foreman inspecting a broken machine. My sister paced near the fence, filming herself on her phone. I could already imagine the caption, "You never realize how cold someone is until they stop loving you." I watched from the upstairs window, didn't move. Then came the yelling. My sister started, voice shaking with rage. You think this makes you the victim? You think you can shut us out and get away with it? She flung something, a manila folder, toward the gate. It landed like a soggy protest sign. You can't do this to your family. I opened the window slightly and said only this. I didn't do this, you did. And that's when the fire lit. Dad stepped in, voice shaking. This isn't over. You don't get to lock us out and pretend your hands are clean. His fists clenched, his eyes burned, not with grief, but fury, the fury of someone who lost his grip. You think you're better than us now? You owe us. 3 words, you owe us. Emma appeared behind me. Do they really think this helps their case? They think volume equals power, I said. But I was already gone. At 6:12 p.m., the emails started. The first was from Mom. Subject, let's be reasonable. I didn't open it. The preview was enough. It's not too late to fix this before lawyers get involved. It was already too late. I forwarded it to my attorney. 10 minutes later, another email, from Dad's work address. A PDF attached, cease and desist. I laughed. They accused me of emotional harm, property theft, unlawful revocation of family access. It read like courtroom fanfiction written by someone who thinks drama equals truth. I didn't respond. My attorney did, 3 pages long. We attached every legal document confirming my sole ownership. Screenshots, login logs. Even a timestamped photo of me handing over the keys 2 years ago. The letter ended simply. Your client has no legal standing. Any further harassment will trigger legal action. All communication will now go through counsel. By Friday, the masks were off. My sister went live on Instagram. Tears, filters, and a shaky voice. She spoke about betrayal, blamed me for tearing apart the family, claimed I'd turned on her for being close to our parents. Comments poured in, crying emojis, stay strong queen, and sympathy from strangers who had no idea. But I wasn't watching for sympathy. I was watching for mistakes. And she made one. She accidentally flipped the camera midstream. Behind her, Dad's office. In frame, the drawer that once held our emergency binder. The one with my passwords. The one I removed last year. They didn't know I'd taken it. My lawyer caught it immediately. If they access anything, he said, we escalate. And sure enough, Sunday afternoon, the bank flagged a login attempt. Wrong device, old recovery email from Dad's ISP. 2 minutes later, an attempt to access the trust account. Both failed. Both documented. Everything was locked again. I reported the attempt to the platform and forwarded it to the legal team. This time, we added a cybercrime trigger. At 10:27 p.m., a text from Mom. 3 words, what have you done? I didn't answer. On Monday, it got louder. A cousin called, one of the few I still respected. Hey, she said, Cautious, your mom's saying you've lost it, that you're tearing the family apart. I didn't tear it apart, I said, I just turned on the lights. That night, the group chat exploded. My sister sent cropped screenshots of estate documents, claimed I stole the family's wealth, said I was unstable. She even sent a doctored email from me, poorly edited. But she didn't crop the timestamp. We had the original. My lawyer had everything. We compiled a file. Forgery. Slander. Unauthorized access. Document tampering. The story wasn't over. But the illusion was. And now, it was their turn to explain. We sent the formal notice. Any further public defamation will result in legal action. You have 72 hours to retract your statements and issue written apologies. If not, we file. That night, my dad sent a single text. You're turning your back on blood. I replied. No, I'm stepping away from those who only knew how to take. The next morning, Emma and I went out for breakfast, a quiet diner, no phones, no noise, just sunlight through the blinds and a short stack of pancakes between us. I glanced at her and said, I think the storm might be over. She smiled without looking up. No, it's just moved over to their house now. They had crafted their version of the story. I responded with the truth. It began as a whisper campaign. Cousins I hadn't heard from in months messaged out of nowhere. I heard things got messy, maybe call your mom? Even an old high school friend texted, your sister's posting some weird stuff, you okay? That's when I knew they were done with guilt. They wanted control of the narrative, wanted to scorch my name before I could speak. My sister was posting vague stories, black screen, white text. Some people forget who raised them. You think you know someone. Then my mother posted an old family photo, back when we still smiled on command. Caption, before money changed everything. The comments came fast. Such a beautiful family, so heartbreaking. You were so close, what happened? That was my signal. The next morning, I emailed every cousin, every relative, every mutual connection who'd been pulled into their web. No rants, no accusations. Just a PDF, 14 pages. Screenshots, timestamps, legal records, bank logs. A full timeline of what actually happened. One note at the top. You're free to believe whatever you choose, but here are the facts. I didn't explain, didn't defend. Just signed it, hit send, and let the silence do the rest. By noon, I got replies from 2 cousins. I had no idea. This changes everything. One of them forwarded me a message from my sister. Ignore whatever Mike sends, he's manipulating the story. That got flagged and passed straight to legal. At 3:42 p.m., an unexpected call came in, from one of my sister's old managers. I know this is awkward, she said, but she listed you as a reference, and after everything I've seen floating around. Her voice trailed off. I didn't offer her an exit. I just said, I'd be careful putting anything in writing for her. By 5 o'clock, I was on the phone with the family's former accountant, the same one I brought back into the loop. After reviewing the forged documents, he exhaled slowly and said, they're unraveling, and you were right, the gaps you flagged, they're everywhere. He paused. You ready to press charges? I didn't respond right away. Because this wasn't about revenge, not even punishment. It was about ending the cycle. So I said, not yet, but we go public. That night, my lawyer and I released a statement. Clean, calm, factual. No adjectives, no drama, just a timeline of forged transfers, unauthorized access, and defamation attempts. We posted it to a neutral site, then I shared it with a single caption. When silence becomes a weapon, sometimes the only answer is truth. Here's mine. It didn't go viral. But it spread, fast. By midnight, 11,000 plus views. Hundreds of comments. Not all kind, but enough. Enough to shift the weight. Enough to freeze their narrative mid-flight. The next morning, the CPA texted me, they've gone quiet. At 11:17 a.m., a call came in from a private number. I let it go to voicemail. It was my mom. Her voice was soft, brittle. We didn't know it would go this far. Please, just call me. I didn't. Instead, I had my attorney send the final letter. A cease and desist for continued defamation. A formal termination of any prior support. And one final clause. Your silence is now required, not requested. By afternoon, My sister deleted half her posts. My dad scrubbed his profile clean. My mom blocked me. And I didn't care. I wasn't looking for an apology. I just wanted the truth to speak louder than their fiction. And finally, it did. They came one last time. No shouting. No tears. No performances. Just my mom, standing alone at the gate, holding a photo album like a peace offering disguised as nostalgia. She buzzed once, waited. Emma glanced toward the camera feed and asked, "Want me to handle it?" I shook my head. "No, this one's mine." I stepped outside. Didn't open the gate, just stood there. She looked smaller now, frailier. She held up the album like a shield. Opened it to a baby picture. "You were always the quiet one," she said, "the good one. That's why you thought I'd never leave," I replied. Her smile faltered. "We just want things back. They were never yours to begin with." "Mike," she tried again. But I stopped her, calm, firm. "I didn't walk away over a house, or the money. I walked away because you never saw me. Only what I could give." She blinked. "So that's it?" I nodded. "You didn't lose the dinner. I left to protect my peace." Then I turned and walked back inside, leaving her behind with a book of old photos she thought could buy forgiveness. This time, I didn't look back.